This is Special Chronicles, giving respect and a voice to people with special needs.
I shudder thinking how the world can be so cruel. I lend my voice to those who can't. It's time we try, it's time we care, it's time we stand. It starts with a voice.
Welcome to the Special Chronicles Podcast. My name is Daniel Smrokowski. I'm the founder and host of Special Chronicles and a former Sargent Shriver Global Messenger. Our website, specialchronicles.com. To follow Special Chronicles on socials, subscribe to our newsletter, find the show notes for this episode, specialchronicles.com. This week on the Special Chronicles Podcast Series, a recap of Turin2025. Our returning guest is Grace Payne, a Sargent Shriver Global Messenger, to talk about her experience as an SSGM at the World Winter Games. Please put your hands together as you welcome back. Welcome back, Grace.
And we've got Molly here, so if those can see, this is Molly.
Awesome. Yeah, so for those of you listening to the audio podcast, go check out the video on our YouTube to see the mascot. So you were a guest, I believe, was it last year? A year ago?
Yeah. It was not long after the SSGM announcement. So probably about
awesome.
March, April last year, maybe.
Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah, it's hard to keep track of all of the episodes, but
fair enough.
Yeah, we'll try to. I'll try to. If any of you are listening and want to go listen to the last time that Grace was on, I'll put a link to that episode in the show notes if you all want to go back or just go on specialchronicles.com and you can do a search for Grace's name to find that last episode that you were on. But for any new listeners, we always have new listeners to the program. Tell us a little bit about your role as a Sargent Shriver Global Messenger. I mean, I know since I was in the previous class, but from your perspective, what's a Sargent Shriver Global Messenger and what does it mean to you?
So for those who don't know me, I'm Grace. Hi, I am from Special Olympics New Zealand, so very far away from a lot of places, which is we travel very far to get anywhere. But it's little old New Zealand, and a Sargent Shriver Global Messenger. There are 10 athlete leaders at any one time that are Sargent Shriver Global Messengers. We are spokespeople for the movement, and we lead a campaign to a more inclusive world. And we talk to different people like policymakers, educators, employers, and society to promote inclusion in our world.
Awesome. And you shared the last time that you were on, but share with our listeners again how you first became involved in Special Olympics and a little bit about your journey in this movement.
So I started Special Olympics in the schools program back in 2008. So I was only 9 years old at the time. And then back in 2010, I joined my local Special Olympics club, which is Counties. I'm still with them to this day. And I have done quite a few sports along the way. I currently do powerlifting and a bit of basketball occasionally. We just had our 3-on-3 unified tournament for the first time in our local area, which has been amazing. Awesome. And I've been a Sargent Shriver since last year, and it has been amazing so far. It's gone so fast, but it's been amazing so far.
Awesome. And the last time that you were on was just after your class, after the announcement of your class. So leading up to the World Winter Games, because we'll get into that in the next segment. But from the last time that you were on this podcast to all the way up to just before you went to Italy, what you share with us a little bit about what you have done as a Sargent Shriver Global Messenger?
Mm-hmm. So back in May last year, we all met at Washington, D.C. We had our training, which turned out so good. We met with everybody, got to know each other. We even got to meet the Global Athlete Leadership Council crew. They also started their term last year. And something I got to do while I was over there is we had a Bank of America, Bank of America Special Olympics event that I got to speak part of because I had a grant funding from them. From the Global Athlete Congress in Berlin. So I got to talk a bit about that and kind of thanking them for all they do. And I have been to a few Special Olympics Asia Pacific events that I have been hugely involved with. One of them has been the Youth for Inclusion Summit that we had last year, which was athlete-led. It was amazing, along with our athlete leaders and youth leaders. And then I did a couple of sessions at the regional leadership conference that we have every year with Asia Pacific, where I got to lead goal setting session with our athletes, and also our athlete leaders got to do an athlete leadership session, like talking to new programs or that are new to the athlete leadership role.
Awesome. And before we get into hearing all about your experiences as an SSGM at the World Winter Games, we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we'll hear from Grace. Support for Special Chronicles comes from listeners like you. Please join our supporters with a monthly or one-time donations. We can operate our studio and continue our mission, giving respect and voice to people with disabilities. Visit specialchronicles.com/give. That's specialchronicles.com/give to donate now. And if you want to access our bonus content and hear a little bit of the pre-show, you can join now at specialchronicles.com/plus. If you join now and donate, you can get access to that bonus content, specialchronicles.com/plus. And speak of the World Winter Games, which is always an exciting time as a Sargent Shriver Global Messenger. I know from the 2 World Games that I attended in that role, it was the schedule was always jam-packed, but a lot of exciting events to speak at and people to meet and so what makes these World Winter Games so special for you?
For me, not only, well, it was my first Winter World Games, which is special in itself, and to be able to be a Sargent Shriver Global Messenger, it just makes it so special to be able to attend it in that way, and also seeing the games from a different perspective rather than from an athlete perspective, from an athlete leader or from an SSGM perspective. And what makes it special is like how the crew, with the SSGM crew, because we get on so well. We are like a chosen family. They make it so amazing. They make it so easy. Right, Brandon and David and the staff make it so easy. Even though there was times where it was tough because I got, like you said, like things could change at any moment, and like you got to be on your feet all the time. But like the crew that we have just makes it special and makes it so easy to work with.
Awesome. And I'm sure it might be hard to pick one memorable moment, but share with us a few highlights and memorable moments from some of the whether it's a speech that you gave or an event that you emceed. What were some of the most memorable moments for you at the World Winter Games?
Yeah, so some of the events I got to do a speech at the Global Youth Leadership Summit. That was amazing. That was one held close dearly to my heart because I work alongside youth leaders in the Asia Pacific region, and I just love the whole, like, the athlete leaders and youth leaders working together, and it's just amazing. I also got to do a tour of one of the venues, the ice rink venue, for our Coca-Cola executive because they sponsored the whole building. So the ice rink had like the Coca-Cola branding as well as the World Games branding. There was an honored guest lounge where it's all Coca-Cola themed. It was fantastic. But one that was probably the most memorable and probably the most special to me is the fact that the closing ceremony in Turin, because there was 2 of them. There's one in Sestria, which is the mountains, and one in Turin. And the one in Turin was an athlete-led ceremony. It was planned and run by us as SSGMs alongside the staff, and we had an amazing production team. They've been amazing to work with. They've been patient. They've been amazing, and we got to run an event that was athlete led, and it was amazing because the athletes loved it. There was like a few speeches. There was like, I got to be part of the pre-show of it, which was amazing, and got to interview a volunteer and some athletes. And another friend of mine got to interview a coach. And we even got to do a thing where we did recognition awards, where we went around, got people to scan QR codes to nominate athletes, officials, and volunteers to like recognize all the work that they've done. And we got to do that, and lots of dancing and party, of course, because that's what ceremonies are about, right? Especially
Yes.
the closing. But it's just amazing to be able to see that athletes can lead something like this, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. And I'm pre-recording this series out of Odo, but if our listeners here on the last episode with Lou, the chief of sport and competition at SOI, talked about that example that you just gave with the SSGMs leading the closing ceremony, and it's so impactful to see, because I know Tim and Mary always talk about being an athlete-led organization. So to see, like I know my class had a legacy, but now seeing your class to begin in a new legacy and taking athlete leadership to a whole new level, with being the first world games where the closing ceremony is athlete. It's what, like, to see just how far athlete leadership has gone. What has that meant for you? Because it seemed really powerful.
Yeah, it's crazy because like people outside of Special Olympics, I guess, when they see us, they think we can't do anything. We can't do XYZ, you know. But to see that we've led something like this, not just be participants in it, not just have some input, but leading it, it's like it opens a new world. And I hope that we carry on with this as we go on, like not just at the world level, but also your regional level, even your local level. And it's as simple as running. It could just be ceremonies, or it could be running sports events. It could be running fundraisers. It could do whatever it is, like make it athlete led, because we know what they want, right? Like, yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. Just like when people outside of Special Olympics see us competed in sports, we break down barriers. But now with like seeing you guys lead the closing ceremony and other speaking events and other events, we're already showing people outside of the movement just how much they. Not only can we break down barriers on the field, but we can break down barriers off the field as well.
Exactly that.
So Turin hosted the games for the first time. How did you feel about this host city, and what were some of the memorable moments of, because I'm sure that you and your class of SSGMs got to explore the city of Turin. So what were some memorable moments from the city?
Yeah, so first off, like Turin and Italy in general is just a beautiful country. I love the architecture, all the buildings, the history behind Italy, which has been amazing. And I think one of the memorable moments from that was we had every morning there was this unified walk that was hosted for the honored guests, and a couple of SSGMs like throughout the week got to help run the unified walk, right, lead it on. And I got to do it one of the days with another SSGM, and we got to look at one of the routes that we took was seeing like an old church and like the river that was down there, which I didn't get to see otherwise. So that was really cool, and just hearing the history behind the beautiful place of Turin, and it's just amazing to see as well all of the different like banners and signs of everything around Turin, and even like the cars that we had the signage on the cars. And it was just really cool to see that, because I got to go to Abu Dhabi in 2019, and that was one of the first things I saw was like the taxis and the buses having the signage on it. It was really cool to see, and And it's really cool to advertise that. And I hope we see more of that.
Awesome. I love that. And as we talk about the athlete experience, Special Olympics is all about inclusion and showcasing the talent of athletes, both of us and the over 5 million athletes across the globe with intellectual disabilities. What message when you saw some of the competition at the World Winter Games in Turin, what's the message that stood out to you of what these athletes will doing?
Yeah, so the athletes that got to compete in these games are just incredibly brave and incredibly powerful. Not just because they got to compete, but also the sacrifices and all of the journey that it took them to get to this point. There would have been some sacrifice, there would have been some good, proud moments, some bad moments. And for them to go through all that to get to this point, to be on the world stage, like that is just brave and powerful. And all of the support they would have had from their families and support people, they work so hard to get there. And I hope that everybody just sees them with pride and just see how brave they are. I know brave, I'm using that word a lot, but just how brave they are to be able to be there. And it's just amazing. They're amazing people.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, it's speaking of that word brave, that's the last part of the athlete oath, brave in the attempt. And I saw some clips from the opening ceremony, and I think when you and your class stood on stage with our chairman Tim Shriver, I think Tim also talked about that message that this is Special Olympics country, and he talked about how as athletes were brave. Do you have any comments on Tim's speech?
Absolutely. And it is a Special Olympics country, and we are hoping to make this a Special Olympics world too. Like, we want to spread this beyond Turin. Like Gilmore said, like in his speech, you might have seen where he said, everybody comes to Turin, but then when they leave, carry on that legacy, carry on the stories, the hype, the love that we have in Turin, carry it on, because we will make this a Special Olympics world if we do so.
Awesome, love that. What's something about the athletes that's competing at the World Winter Games that people out? I'm sure that there was coverage on ESPN. There was a lot of coverage in Italy, and I'm sure even in our local communities for yourself in New Zealand, and then for myself across the U.S. and then in all the local regions and the local programs had coverage, and so there was a lot. I'm sure there's a lot of people outside of the movement that saw what was going on in Turin. So what's something that you like to share with people outside of the movement that might not fully understand us athletes and might not fully understand Special Olympics and the World Winter Games that you like to share with them?
Yeah, so I think to the people out. Oh, sorry, there was a little echo for a second. We're good though. We're good. So the people outside of Special Olympics who see this, I want to invite them to join us and just have a look in, because I bet you one minute spending with us will change your life forever, and you will see a whole new world that you never thought was possible. They would just feel the love, the joy, the unity of Special Olympics, and why we do what we do, because we want to make our world a more inclusive place, not just for our athletes, but for everybody involved. And we want to include everybody in, welcome everybody in. And I hope that they see that out on their screens at home, seeing what's happening in Turin, saw what's happening in Turin, and think, I want to be involved. I want to be in this environment because I just see the love, the joy that they spread.
Awesome. And when you saw some of the competition at the World Winter Games, what does it mean for you to witness these athletes competing at such a high level and to see their journeys and how they empower? I'm sure, like, when you're at the World Winter Games, you're there as an athlete leader, you're there as a Sargent Shriver Global Messenger, but I'm sure as athletes, we also empower and inspire each other. So what does it mean for you to witness them competing?
They inspire me so much. Like to be a better person, to be a better leader, to advocate for those who don't have a voice. And every athlete has a story, and whether there's some good stories, some bad stories that they would have gone through, some times that they've gone through, and just how proud I am for them to go through that and still be able to achieve what they achieved. Whether they got a gold medal to even a participant ribbon, like just the idea, just the fact that they got to go on the world stage makes me so proud. And that's all I want, is the athletes to be able to do that and be able to compete. And for some, it might not be world games. For them, it's just competing at local level, and that is fantastic. Or it could be competing at their national level or even at the region level. Like whatever competition they want to compete in, we strive for it. It just makes me so proud that they want to be able to do it, because dreams come true if you make it happen and you work hard for it.
Absolutely. As we talk about the power of Special Olympics, as we both know, Special Olympics is all about breaking down barriers and fostering inclusion. How do you think these World Winter Games help to shift perceptions about people with intellectual disabilities? I'm sure there was a lot of celebrities and fans and people that were there that helped to see just how these games, to see how this movement is breaking down barriers. But how do you think these World Winter Games in Turin help to shift that perception?
I hope that it shifts the perception that we can do anything that we put our mind to, and that, like I said earlier, if like people are watching it from home on their screens, or if celebrities or people see it online, I just hope they see the love, the joy, the hard work the athletes have put in, and how inclusive we are to welcome anybody into our world, like anybody. And like I just hope that we foster that. I hope that we do that, and especially not having the World Games since 2017. I hope that it's a long time since we've had a World Winter Games. So I hope that it just, especially in the winter sports community, I hope that it just brings that out to them more.
Awesome, absolutely. And as a Sargent Shriver Global Messenger, I'm sure you got to talk to a lot of volunteers and sponsors and supporters and other athletes. And so in a lot of your engagements and that you did as a Sargent Shriver Global Messenger, can you give us maybe an example or two of how you encouraged others to support Special Olympics? Is there an example of you interacting with either a sponsor or an ambassador or supporter?
Yeah. When I did the tour with Coca-Cola at the ice rink and stuff, a lot of the things, like, as my job was to talk about the athlete's perspective about the games, like how an athlete would feel when they see this, or how an athlete would feel when they do that, or what they do to do this. And just talking to them about that side of things, and for them to see, like, oh, okay, this is how they would feel. This is how they would be. Like, seeing an ice rink like that, like, I bet they would feel so proud to be where they are. And I emphasize that to them, because it's like a lot of them, like, probably only won't go to World Games every time. They probably only get to go once. And it's like the amount of work they got to get there. And also talking to like the youth leaders and stuff like that at the speech I did, talking to them about, it's not just us that needs to lead this campaign. It's not just the Sargent Shrivers, it's not just the alums, it's not just the higher level athlete leaders, it's everybody, especially those of youth leaders, especially the younger ones, especially those who are new. We need everybody's voices. We need everybody's efforts, because we can't do this without everybody. We can't do this on our own. I don't want to do it on my own. I know you want to do this on your own.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so it's like one person can't do it all, right? Like everybody needs to help out, and it'd be awesome to see.
Absolutely. I love that. And how can we as society continue to make spaces more inclusive for people with disabilities outside of the movement? I mean, there's a lot of the games is just one thing, but those when people come home after the World Winter Games or after their local or regional or national competition, they'll back in their own life. How do you think that society can continue to make spaces more inclusive for those like yourself and myself and those of us with intellectual disabilities outside of the games?
I think, like in schools, for example, like if there is a child who needs the additional support, I think it's like as a teacher or as an educator, take the time to talk to the child or the student or the parents, whoever that may be, the support people, to come up with like plans on what to do if they were overstimulated in the classroom. What can they do? Can they go out and take a break? Can they go to make a quiet space in the classroom for them to, decompress and carry on? Or if it's like, if they need extra time on tests or whatever that is, or it might be some note taking, whatever that is just coming up with a plan together on what we can do. If it's like employment, like same thing, like what can you do when, like, do they need extra time to give instructions to them so that they can be like, okay, this is what I need you to do, and talk to them in a way that they understand, and getting to know, like the biggest thing I think is just getting to know the person like a friend, get to know somebody with an intellectual disability like a friend, like talk to them, get to know them, and you will understand how they work and how you can best support them and how they can best support you when there are times where you struggle. So I think it's just a matter of you see the Special Olympics community, you see what we do in the games, foster that into your own everyday lives.
Awesome. I love that. That's a powerful message. We're going to take one final break to mention a couple of our sponsors for this podcast, and then when we come back, we'll get into, as we look to the future, especially talking about the motto, "The future is here," with our friend Grace Payne, Sargent Shriver Global Messenger. After this short break, to let you all know that support for Special Chronicles comes from the ComEd Energy Force Ambassador Program, the country's first energy and solar effective education program designed for and taught by people with disabilities. Learn more at specialchronicles.com/ComEd. And support for Special Chronicles comes from United Airlines Bridge Disability Business Resource Group, connecting people of all abilities. Learn more on United's commitment to disability inclusion for employment and travel, including hiring Special Olympics athletes like myself as employees. You can learn more at specialchronicles.com/United. That's specialchronicles.com/United. And as we look to the future, the games model that I'm sure was all around the games was the future is here. And what does this games model mean to you? What does the future is here? What does that mean?
The future is here means to me, it means that we are here and it's only going up from here. The future that we hope to have is here, and we want to like with the closing ceremony, for instance, being athlete led, that is the future. That is something that should have been done a long time ago. That should have been something that should have been implemented from the get-go. And I know we're all learning and we're all growing, But the future is here. We are going to learn all the time about what we could do to make inclusion and our world a more better place, make our world a more inclusive place for all. But yeah, that was something I got to do at the closing ceremony, actually, with an interview with a couple of athletes. We got them to scream, "The future is here," out into the crowd to show that we are here. We are the future, and we're going to make it happen.
Awesome. I love that. And what you said about how, and kind of jumping back to how you said that the SSGMs led the closing ceremony, and how taking athlete leadership to a new level, that's the future, that like showing people that in this movement we're always finding new ways to include us athlete leaders, to find new ways. That's the instead of going back in time and excluding us, the future is finding new ways for this movement, for Special Olympics to be athlete led. Is that,
Yes,
would you agree?
absolutely.
Yeah, awesome. So what are your hopes for the future of Special Olympics, both since in your role as a Sargent Shriver Global Messenger, both on the global level, but then also at the local and regional level as well, and for both globally, but then also for your for the Asia Pacific region, and then also for your local region in New Zealand, kind of all from global to regional to local. What do you hope for the future of Special Olympics?
I hope that, I hope more of these events, like I said, is athlete led and run by athletes, and athletes have more power over it, because we're the most important voices out there, and like the athletes are the most important voices. Their stories matter, their voices matter, their experiences matter, and I hope that it does start from the local level. Like, it's simple, like I said, is the athletes running a local event or even help organize a local event. That's what I do in my local club anyway. And as well as national, like helping at the national level, using athlete leaders, utilizing their voices and their input, and what should it be like, because again, what's the reason that we're here in Special Olympics is the athletes, right? The athletes are our why. So if we include them and use them in everything that we do, Special Olympics would evolve, and it will grow, and it will reach new highs before we even know it.
Absolutely. And finally, as the Special Olympics World Winter Games concluded the beginning of March, a month ago,
Yeah.
What message do you want to share with our listeners about the power of sport, the power of unity, the power of inclusion that you saw at these World Winter Games, that you brought home? And I'm sure you were sharing with your family, you're sharing with your friends, you're sharing with your local community, but also to share with our listeners. What's the message that you'd like to share about the overall experience of the World Winter Games?
I just the whole experience is just eye-opening. It is thought-provoking. It is also very I wish that everybody could see what we do. I wish everybody around the world could just be here and see what we do, because there's nothing like it. And I just hope that they hear from people like myself and you and other people that they take our word for it and want to be involved and want to be included. As simple as whether it's helping at one day events that we might have, or if it's helping at a national level or a world level, whatever that is, just being involved and being included would be amazing for everybody to do. And I hope that they see Special Olympics in our eyes and see how amazing that it is.
Absolutely, yeah. I hope many of you listening in can see that and join us. Whether you join us at a local event, to join us at at a national or your regional event, or even at the next World Games, and join us, and you'll want to. I'm sure I'll, just like we always staying involved and competing and involved in athlete leadership. I'm sure our listeners will want to stay involved in this movement for many years.
Hope so. I hope so. Join us. We welcome you.
Yes, we do. So before we get to the final question, do you have any, this is the second time that you've been on the program, but any final thoughts on your overall time here today on the Special Chronicles podcast?
And again, I love being here just as much as the first time. I love being here, and I thank you again for letting me come on and talk about my experiences. I hope to jump on again and talk about whatever experiences else that I have. Like, guys, support Special Chronicles. They're doing amazing things out there. Like, listen to the podcast, listen to all the amazing stories, not just from athletes, but everybody in the disability community and beyond. And yeah, just thank you again for having me on. And yeah, again, thank you.
Yeah, it's always a lot of fun, and anytime that you want to come back on the program, you can reach out hopefully, I'm sure we'll hopefully get to meet up again in person, and maybe even in Chile if I come out there.
That'd be awesome.
That would be awesome. So if any of you listening, I think I mentioned it on the last episode, but if you want to help to sponsor to produce a daily podcast at the next World Games in Santiago, which will be in October 2025, just reach out, specialchronicles.com/contact, and you can get in touch. And we've got one final question and to introduce. We've got a bumper, so let's go ahead and roll that bumper.
We're not just athletes.
We are the ambassadors of an uprising.
Peaceful protesters.
In a rebellion against anyone
who has a fear of difference. Difference. Our demands are
equality,
dignity, and the recognition of our shared humanity.
We will not stop
or accept anything less.
Today, our world is
more divided than ever.
And coming together has never been more urgent.
The revolution
is inclusion.
Find out more at jointherevolution.org.
So ever since I attended the 2019 World Games in Abu Dhabi, we've been concluding with one final question that we want our listeners to listen to us, but we don't just want our listeners to listen to us for entertainment. We want our listeners to really learn from our stories, to learn from what you are sharing, Grace, on this episode, and to bring inclusion into their communities, bring inclusion into their workplaces, into their schools, into their Special Olympics clubs, bring inclusion into their communities. And so this question will really take, hopefully will help our listeners to take action and to bring inclusion into their lives. So what does inclusion mean? You I'm sure you answered it on the last time, but what does inclusion mean to you?
Yeah, and I'm happy to say it again and again. So inclusion to me means that everyone is involved and included, and that no one is being unheard. Instead, just include everybody in your communities. And I want to know from you listeners, from me, it's like, what does inclusion mean to you? Like, tell us. I want you to tell us as well. Like, whether you comment it, message, whatever that is you do, please tell us what inclusion means to you, because I want to know as well.
Yeah, that's a perfect answer. And yeah, for those of you listening, let us know. I think on Spotify you can leave a comment now on this episode. So if you guys all listen to us, go leave a comment on Spotify. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can leave a comment and tell Grace and I what inclusion means to you, and we would love to hear from you. Thank you again, Grace, for coming back on the Special Chronicles podcast. It was a lot of fun to hear about your experience as an SSGM at the World Games. It's always a busy time, but impactful. I know from my experience at 2 World Games, it was really impactful. And I was just one of my mentors at when I was at the World Games in Abu Dhabi. I was just texting with him yesterday about some of the memories from my time in Abu Dhabi, which was 5-6 years ago, and for years to come, the memories that you had at these World Games, you'll be able to look back at pictures and just have empowering memories.
Yeah, I'm very excited to see where this takes me, where it takes us to the Special Olympics, and I'm so looking forward to World Summer Games in Chile in 2027, it will come very soon, very, very soon. I know that it'll starting to get organized very soon. But yeah, thank you so much again, Daniel, for having me on, and I really enjoy being here.
Yeah, thank you. And for all of you listening in, a few final plugs. You can shop our merchandise store, Disabled Voices Medal collection. We have t-shirts, hoodies, coffee mugs. 60% of the profits go back to Special Chronicles. So you can shop right now at specialchronicles.com/shop. And tap that follow button on Spotify, Apple, subscribe on YouTube. That follow button is somewhere wherever you're listening. I don't know. It's up there, down there, somewhere.
Up, down, wherever that is.
You guys know where to find. I think it says follow, subscribe, something, and because you do not want to miss. You guys can go back and listen to the last episode with Lou, who is the chief of sport and competition at SOI. And also coming up on this series, as we look back at the World Winter Games in Turin, we'll be talking with a USA athlete who competed, Tyler, who competed in alpine skiing, as well as Mary, who competed in snowshoeing, a coach, because it's always good to get a coach's perspective. 2 athletes competed in dance sport, which is a new sport at these games. Also, we'll be talking with an athlete who competed in alpine skiing, and then we'll be talking with a couple of people who attended the Global Youth Leadership Summit, because it's always good to get that perspective. So that episode will be coming up in the middle of May. And then we'll be talking with Sean Ferguson, Chief of Global Government Relations, about the Global Coalition for Inclusion, which is another event that I think you and your class probably attended. And then we'll be talking with a couple of sponsors from United Airlines, and then a volunteer and board of directors member for SOI. So all those, some exciting episodes. Every Monday, new episode will drop, so stay followed, subscribed, and thank you again, Grace, for coming on the Special Chronicles podcast.
Thank you so much.
And until then, we'll cut you on next week. Remember, choose to include, and we'll see you next week, same time, same place on specialchronicles.com. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Special Chronicles podcast. Our podcast was produced by Daniel Smrokowski on the Special Chronicles Network. Follow Special Chronicles on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Subscribe, rate, and review Special Chronicles on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Our website, specialchronicles.com, where you can stream our archives of over 500 episodes absolutely for free. Also, there's a list of our favorites, original series, award-winning columns, and blogs. And sign up for our newsletter to receive exclusive bonus content delivered to your inbox. Again, specialchronicles.com. Special Chronicles is hosted by Podbean Podcast Hosting. Our live streams are powered by StreamYard. Thanks, as always, to our business manager, Adam Smrokowski, who always encourages us to never give up. I'm Daniel Smrokowski, back next week with more stories.
Special Chronicles. giving respect and a voice to people with special needs.
Okay, I've stopped